Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to a transfer rumour review show where I'm joined by Terry and we're going to be discussing another potential incoming or outgoing. In this case, it's an outgoing, and it's one that I don't think will be a very popular one if it came to fruition. And that's, of course, Anthony Gordon, who did so well for us last season, a local lad, come through the ranks, and had a big impact towards the end of last season. Well liked. Been linked with a couple of clubs. I think Spurs and Newcastle have I think Newcastle will probably be linked to literally every player this summer, but we'll see what happens. I'm joined by Terry, of course, and this one's going to be a lot more up in the air, I think, because there's a lot of, some people might consider this, but there's some people who'd love to see Gordon succeed at Everton, of course. So what's your take on potential rumours about Gordon leaving? Obviously, this has come off the back of obviously Charlton already going this summer. Would it be a bit of a kick in the teeth?
I'm going to go with the unpopular opinion. I would sell him if that Newcastle link is legitimate. If we are offered somewhere like 35 million for him, then I'd accept it with a heartbeat. Obviously, the other link is Tottenham for 10 million plus write-off some of the deal for Dele Alli. I'm not even entertaining that. That's just stupid, the idea of that. But £35 million for a academy player who's had one season of Premier League football, and let's be honest, as much as we all love him, 90% of what he's done has just been energy and effort and, drive, which stuck out a mile in our team. I don't want to sell Anthony Gordon on the face of it, but he hasn't really shown much to justify being 35 million, as I would sell him if that was true, which I actually don't believe it is, but I would in that scenario.
I agree. I've seen the rumours about obviously being Newcastle and Spurs. I don't want to sell him, and I'd like him to stick around. But if the price was right, I would consider it. And 35, 40 million, anything upwards of that, you've got to bite their hands off for that, because he's done very well, but not that well.
There's two arguments mainly that people are coming up, basically throwing back against that, because I put that on Twitter, and big one was you need to be built around this type of player. We can't lose him and Richarlison at the same time, and that's a valid argument. They're the two most effective players at the club last season, which is an indictment on the rest of the team. I understand that, but I'm not suggesting we sell them and don't replace them. And everyone goes, well, they've not replaced anyone good in the past, and they've not replaced people well previously. They're different regimes in the recruitment side of things. I know I'm not saying you put all your faith in Lampard and Thelwell, but you've got to at least give them a chance. Their job is to reset Everton this summer, and the only way under these financial restrictions we're under is to do that is to sell players, and fortunately people don't want your crap players, so you can get big money for a player who's scored 4 goals and 2 assists, and a lot of the goals were deflected. I think that's huge. That's what we should be doing. You should be taking sentiment out of it and trying to do the model other clubs have been successful with, of selling these players for big money and then, going out and buying 2 or 3 other players you can develop. And we need that more than anything else. And Gordon, if we do keep him, I'd be happy to keep him. That's great. But you got to think back when Tom Davies broke through. If someone would have came for him after that first season where Tom Davies established himself, someone would have offered 35 million for him, our hair would have caught fire. We'd have gone, no, absolutely not. He's the future of this team. He's a Scouser. He's Evertonian. He's only going to get better. And now we're here a few years down the line. You look back and think,
imagine we yeah. And there was rumours. I remember him being linked with Chelsea, not for about 20 million, I think it was. But
yeah, and I'm not saying Anthony Gordon will definitely go the way of Tom Davies, where he doesn't actually increase in value. But I have not seen anything from Anthony Gordon so far, which makes me think he will, explode in value over the next few years. I think he's a committed player. He's the type of player I want the attitude on him is the attitude I want every Everton player to have. And if we were in a strong financial position, I wouldn't want to sell him. I'd just no, he's our academy player. I want to see how good he gets, but we are not in a strong financial position. We need to generate money. The people off the pitch do not generate money at this football club other than through player sales. So we need to make player sales, and I don't think personally Anthony Gordon would be that hard to replace. Richarlison will be hard to replace. I don't think Gordon will be.
So what's the minimum you'd accept in terms of selling Gordon?
Probably that 35, and he's not worth that, but that's the intangibles of football. He's English, he's young, he's got that, he works with that homegrown quota. You know, there's always the potential he could get better. That's what they're buying. Like Newcastle aren't spending £35 million on for a player as good as he is now. Like if we were linked with a player spending £35 million on him and he had Gordon's numbers, you wouldn't be made up with it, would you? But they're buying. They're in a very strong financial position, so they can afford to take a chance. So 35 would probably be what I'd be looking for as a minimum, and any more would be a bonus. But anything less than that, then you're probably getting, you know, the piss took out of you a bit. And just going back to what I was saying before when I said there was two arguments and listed one, the second one was don't want to sell him to Newcastle for X, Y, and Z. I don't understand that argument. It's going, well, it's not a step up. Who cares? That's not our problem.
Our business. We need the money.
That's the player's problem. If the player leaves us for a worse proposition or a sideways step, that's their fault. So I'm not bothered. I would say the only way I wouldn't want to sell is if someone was in direct competition for us. So sadly, in our case, don't strengthen a relegation rival, or at the top end of the league, don't strengthen a European competition rival. And Newcastle are, you know, not going to be near the bottom, and we're not going to be near the top. So I don't see the problem in selling to Newcastle. Everyone, when we sold Johnny and Lescott, said City's not a step up from Everton. No, at that time it wasn't.
Wasn't you later?
It sounds stupid to say that now, and Newcastle might go like that. They might not, but I don't give a toss who comes in for them. As long as it's not January and you're in a relegation fight with Burnley and you're selling to Burnley, then obviously that's the problem. Like, but right now in the summer with not a ball kicked, I don't care if he goes to Newcastle. I just 35 million is too much for his ability now, but it's probably the going rate for business between two Premier League clubs for that type of player.
Yeah, I'd be happy with 35, 40 million. That'd be good. Below 30, I wouldn't consider. And on that note, laugh Spurs out of the window because that's a disgrace. Spurs, we shouldn't be doing any further business with Spurs if they consider that a decent offer.
No, I don't blame Spurs. They're doing what I would want us to do in the reverse scenario. Just test them. Like they're in financial distress. They've got a couple of good assets there. Let's see what we can, we've obviously took ages negotiating a Richarlison sale with them, and why not just test the waters? But they're not serious. They don't think for a second they were going to get him. They just wanted to see how desperate we were. And if the same way we are going to go to the likes of Watford and they've got a release clause for Dennis, do you think we're just going to offer that straight away? No, they want to get rid of players to lower their wage bill because they've dropped down as a division. So we'll try and test to see how little they'll take. It's just football.
Yeah, but I think in our case, if they do come in and do that, then we just walk away and we don't entertain them again. Certainly not for Gordon, at least.
I don't think we're going to sell Gordon. This is all hypothetical. I think there would be a meltdown in the supporters, the fan base. I think the club know that, and I think the club don't agree with me. They don't see any unless we're worse than even we think. But I don't think the club are going to entertain selling Anthony Gordon short of like a stupid bid coming in, which they probably don't consider to be 35 million. So I think he'll be offered a new deal, and a big fuss will be made of him as the sort of new leader of the new revolution at Everton. The young, we're going to build a young team, and we're going to have Anthony Gordon front and centre because he's a supporter. He's from the academy, so I don't think the club are going to even entertain it. But it's just what I would do if I was playing footy manager.
Yeah, it's what I'd do if it was like, career modes or whatever on FIFA. So, it's football's different in real life, but you've got to take the money and run sometimes. I think that's what we've got to learn that, because Everton haven't done that enough recently. And it's left us in this position where we've had to sell a player we didn't really want to sell. And yeah, for that reason, if a good offer comes in, cash in. I think obviously a lot of scepticism around ever wanting to sell our best players has come from the sort of trauma I think we've been through in terms of watching our the clowns at this club fail to replace the good
It's because
players
every time we've sold, we've not replaced properly, and that's what people are worried about, that's going to happen again. And I completely understand that, but that doesn't mean the model's wrong. It just means what we've been doing, and it's never too late to start doing things right. That doesn't mean they're going to. It doesn't mean I've got faith we will, but it's like you can't just say. I go back to the Tom Davies analogy. We missed an opportunity when we had Davies and Holgate and players like that, and they were all young and they were all just breaking through. And we should have been more open. I'm not saying we knocked Steele's back, because as far as I know, we didn't. But we were very protective of this young crop of players. None of them, apart from Calvert-Lewin, none of them have gone on to do anything. The Holgates, the Davies, the Lookmans, the John Joe Kennys. I think at that time, if we'd have been open to selling them to bigger clubs, we might have got decent offers for them, and we'd have been better for it. Now, okay, we'd have probably wasted it on even worse players, but it's neither here nor there. But you've got to always hope that the new director of football and the new manager will see the mistakes of the past and spend the money we bring in more wisely. And that's all you've got to hope for. Because once you can't hope for that, then you're just miserable. Yeah, you're going to be miserable going into everything. Let them fail before you anticipate them failing every time.
Fair enough. But on that note, Anthony Gordon, keep, sell?
Sell with an asterisk. Sell under those specific scenarios that we've listed, but keep otherwise, because I think we will keep.
Sell in the event of an outlandish bid, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and that's a good way of finishing it there. Anthony Gordon. Still very well liked, of course. Anyone watching this video, let us know your opinions on Anthony Gordon. I think most people want him to stay. Let us know how much you'd be willing to let him go for if it was the case. Drop us a comment to let us know your opinions. Give this video a like and subscribe for more content. Check the store out as well. Links in the description below. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching on the Toffee Blues.